Now, Suzuki as a brand in South Africa is fairly well known and rather well respected. As of late, they've given us the Vitara, there was the Sears, the Celerio, the Ertiga, and the Splash. But it's the Swift that I'm interested in. We're going to test 3 of their hatchbacks and figure out why it is that Swift owners are trying to keep this such a big secret. So let's kick things off with the Suzuki Swift 1.2 GL. So as you can see here, the Suzuki Swift has an absolutely cavernous interior. It's also very well appointed. You have an adjustable steering column with Bluetooth controls for the audio system. There's electric windows, electric mirrors. You have aircon, and of course the 2 airbags up front. If you take a look here in the gauge cluster, you'll see a small little LCD screen, which is basically going to give you all your readouts, the time, your kilometers traveled, etc. But it's the number on top that has got me very interested. You see, I haven't exactly been driving the Swift very frugally, but yet I am still returning numbers of 4.8 to 5.7 liters per 100 kilometers, which is absolutely mind-boggling when you consider that Suzuki's only claiming 5.7. But I think we can attribute that to this brilliant little 1.2 liter motor. Makes 63 kilowatts, 113 newton meters, and if that doesn't sound like a lot, it isn't. But in this little car, it works a treat. So the Suzuki Swift 1.2 GL is going to set you back 159,900 Rand, which is not a lot of money when you consider what you're getting in this excellent little car. But if the 1.2 isn't quite your cup of tea, you might want to take a look at the 1.4 GLS. Here it is, the 1.4. Now I know what you're thinking. It looks exactly the same as the 1.2, but there are some differences. First and foremost, you have those 16-inch alloys, where on the 1.2 you only had steel wheels and hubcaps. The indicators have been moved from the side mirrors to the front fenders, and down in front you have some DRLs around the fog lights. Another thing you also notice is the privacy glass. And those subtle changes extend to the interior as well, where we now find ourselves. And I think if you tried hard enough, you could probably fly a kite in here. Well, what are those changes exactly? Well, you now have automatic aircon. It's a lovely leather-bound steering wheel, which is now height and reach adjustable. The cruise control. And these seats, which might look the same as the ones in the 1.2, but they're different. They're less tombstone and more bucket. There's also 7 airbags, but it's the drive that's actually different. Now, if you thought the 1.2 was good, the 1.4 is just better. 70 kilowatts and 130 newton meters on tap, this thing handles like it's on rails and changes direction like a mosquito. Now, although it might have go-kart-like handling, the Swift really doesn't like bumpy roads, potholes, speed bumps, things of the like. I don't think it's the suspension, I think it's those 16-inch alloys. Other than that, the Swift is sublime. In and around town, we are still maintaining well below Suzuki's claimed averages for the fuel, and I'm having an absolute ball. Now, what is all of this going to cost me, I hear you ask? Well, 212,900 Rand, which is not a lot of money when you consider the performance levels and all of the equipment that you're getting in here. But if the 1.4 is this good, could the 1.6 be any better? You guys could have told me it looked like a race car. I think it's pertinent to note at this point that the one that you buy isn't necessarily going to look like this. Yes, you're going to get the revised front end and the side skirt, the wing and this diffuser. But because it looks like this, I'm kind of glad that we brought it here.
What's the 1.6 like? It's definitely faster. 100 kilowatts and 160 newton meters on tap, under your right foot. Swift Sport completely lives up to its name. Now the interior of the 1.6 is slightly different to that of the 1.4. You now have the sport steering wheel with the red stitching and these aluminium look inserts, these deep bucket seats, which keep you in place when you do the spirited driving that you are undoubtedly going to do. This thing's an absolute hoot to drive, and at this point, I don't care about the fuel economy. The Suzuki Swift Sport 1.6 is a little hard to quantify. You see, if you take all its competitors into account, this is probably the last 1600 naturally aspirated hatchback on the market today. That makes me a little sad, because this is what hot hatch driving is all about. Now the Suzuki Swift 1.6 Sport retails for 260,900 Rand, and it is worth every cent, because this thing is hot hatch lunacy at its best. I'm sorry Suzuki Swift owners, but your secret is out. I think it's safe to say that the Suzuki Swift hatchbacks are brilliant in their own right. If it's low cost, honest motoring you're after, the 1.2 GL will do just fine. For performance, dynamic handling, around town, and all those creature comforts, it'll have to be the 1.4 GLS. But for performance and dynamic track handling, you're definitely going to want to put the Sport on the top of your list. But with things like a 3-year, 100,000 kilometer warranty, it's difficult not to want to keep these a secret. But here's the shocker. If I had to choose, it'll be the 1.4 GLS.